Blackhawks versus Flyers, Bedard versus Michkov, and Wyatt Kaiser sits. All that and more coming up on the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Coors Light. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Coors Light. Blackhawks and Flyers drop the puck at noon in Philly. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi. We have got a ton to get to on this pregame show. We're going to talk to our pals from PHLY for a little bit of a preview. We're going to hear from Connor Bedard. We're going to hear from Luke Richardson because we've got some lineups to discuss and other things happening. But first, fellas, how are we doing? How's your Saturday going so far? Feeling good?
This is pretty much the only thing I've done so far for my Saturday.
Yeah.
So
got myself a bagel this morning. Yeah.
Nice.
Good stuff. How about you, Greg?
Sure. I woke up and came here.
That's half the battle, baby. We're halfway home.
Had a cup of coffee. I'm good.
All right, do us a favor before we hear from Luke. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We would really, really appreciate that. Yes, Wyatt Kaiser is out. And my initial reaction was a little bit of furiousness. Yeah, but when you hear the way
some rage tweeting.
A little bit of rage, but I'm a little frustrated about the way things are going lately. It sounds like it could be a health thing. Like, we'll see. Let's hear from Luke first, and we'll use our Luke Richardson Dakota ring on the other side here.
Any lineup changes?
We're going to have everybody in warm-up, but we'll probably have Louis Crevier in the lineup tonight, and I think Wyatt Kaiser will be taking a rest tonight.
And I know a lot's been written the last couple of days about Connor Bedard, and we all know how competitive he is. This is probably the first time he's maybe in his life has hit adversity. It's a guy who played in the NHL as long as you have. How do you kind of help him, kind of not ride those waves when he's never really been through this before?
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a different kind of role right now, playing with Dickinson and Anderson. Like, they're playing really well. So that's why we thought we'd give him a little bit of a break of the pressures of down low in the D zone and center, and a little bit less responsibilities as a winger. And I thought it worked great for the first couple games. The first game, I think they did a great job checking the other team's top line, but they also created he made two great plays, and Dickinson had two nice goals off Connor's playmaking. So I think last game, playing against Barkov, probably one of the best centers in the world, and doing a great job defensively. And I think just not used to, like you said, getting like maybe no shots or good shot attempts in the game, but we only had one power play, and he was pretty integral in that power play and great movement in the O-zone. Didn't get an assist or a shot on it, but it's just a little different mindset of realizing the game's so big here now, and your involvement in it is going to be different at times. And I think just because your name isn't on the top of the score sheet doesn't mean you didn't do anything in the game, and that's just a different adjustment for a young player that's used to having that.
And just making sure that he knows he's impacting.
Absolutely.
Being on the score sheet.
Yeah, and he was in our team video yesterday on many occasions, doing all the right things defensively. And I think if you continue to do that, the puck will find you, and then you will get your offensive opportunities. Like, we know that Connor's not brought here to be a defensive specialist and a checking forward, but what it is it's just growing as a player and learning different parts of the game, which is going to help you and get into those back into those offensive opportunities.
Do you think being able to play against Matvei Michkov, I know they've been so intertwined for years and years and years, going back to 21 when they played the World Under-18s together, would be a little bit of a motivating factor to do all those good things that he's done away from the puck, to maybe, to just remind people that, hey, I went number one for a reason, and, something, and that guy didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. We know Connor can score, and he can be electric with the puck at times, and we've seen it, last year and this year. So that's going to be there. And I'm sure he's confident in that. And, just adding to it, I think is just going to make him a complete player. And he's going to be out in all the important situations at the end of the game, whether you're down or up now. So that's going to be a big part of the growth in his game where, I'm not sure. I've never seen Michkov play before. So this is going to be exciting to see them kind of go head to head. And Connor's always up for a great matchup. I think he's played some of his best games against when he's challenged out there. And I think it grabs his attention and he understands it. And he's been in that situation many times as a young person. So I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup tonight, and I'm confident as anyone in Connor's abilities, whether he's scoring goals or now kind of just out there playing against the other team's top lines.
And one other about Taylor Hall, you took him out of the lineup 2 games ago, give him a little bit of a rest. He's coming back from that horrendous knee injury. 2 games back in the lineup. Are you kind of starting to see that Taylor Hall again?
I thought like even in practice, he's been pushing in practice and getting out there early, working on things. Last game, he did lots of great things. It was a tight 2-1 game, basically all game. Same thing as Connor. They're not used to not being on the score sheet, but they're in the team video the next day doing all the right things, and that's why we won 2-1. The first game back, I thought he had an excellent first period. He had one right off the crossbar. He had probably one of our best chances other than scoring the 1 goal that game. Unfortunately, we just, as a team, didn't have the puck much the second half of the game. We were a little bit sloppy, and that affects individuals and their stats later in the game. So I thought he's come back and had 2 strong games.
There he is, Luke Richardson. So what Luke says about Kaiser, it's very quick. Just we're going to give him a rest. And we got to remember to missed a lot of the preseason with an undisclosed health concern. So maybe that's what it is. I'm not saying I'm hoping that what it is. Of course, we want him to be fully healthy. But if it's a healthy scratch, that would be concerning.
With no follow-up context to it, you kind of just go off of what Richardson said, where all healthy players are going to be available in warm-ups, and we're giving Kaiser a rest. It makes it seem like, for some reason, Kaiser isn't 100% ready to go for this game. So if that's the case, fine. Like, guys not ready to go, then, yeah, sure, get Louis Crevier in. That's fine. If it were to be a healthy scratch, I think we'd be losing our minds over here, because Wyatt Kaiser is not the player that should be coming out of the defensive lineup in favor of Louis Crevier. No offense to Louis Crevier. Kaiser is a guy that you set in the lineup this year, and we've had almost no worries about him. So if he's not 100%, that's fine. But it does look like we do have a lineup for tonight's game.
Yes, we
Today's
do.
Game.
Charlie Romeliotis just sent this over. By the way, he's calling the game on radio if you, for some reason, can't see the game. Dickinson, Bedard, Anderson, Donato, Hall, Teravainen, Foligno, Mikheyev, Bertuzzi, Reichel, Maroon, Smith. Your D pairs are Vlasic and Murphy, Allen and Martinez, Brody and Crevier. Mrazek starts. Soderblom backs up. So there you have it.
The only difference from the Panther game is Crevier in for Kaiser.
Exactly.
And I don't. Let's not go crazy with the speculations.
That's fun. Craziness.
It's how people get mad and accuse us of recommending trades and being advocates for trading certain people.
Morgan Frost for Wyatt Kaiser.
No, it's not going to take that much to get Morgan Frost. We'll hear about that in a few minutes. It's teaser. Yesterday at practice, Luke Richardson said, we asked about the lineup. We asked about Dickinson. He said he took a maintenance day yesterday. Should be okay to go tomorrow. We don't know yet. Everybody who's healthy will be on the ice for warm-ups, and then we'll go from there. So that tells me Wyatt Kaiser just needs a day off. Maybe he's under the weather. Maybe he's banged up. Whatever. It's not, to me, it's not a healthy scratch. If he needs to healthy scratch somebody to get Crevier in the way he has glowingly talked about Wyatt Kaiser all season, he's not healthy scratching Wyatt Kaiser. He just spent 5 minutes in the last post game talking about how well he played. You don't do that and then healthy scratch a guy.
I am agreeing with you, but I think the reason that a lot of people, and my initial reaction, to be honest, was like, what the what are we doing here? Is because you just saw Taylor Hall scratch with very little warning. Philip Kurashev missed a game, which we had no problem with. But if you watched, the Blackhawks now have a tool belt because we're building something. Tool belt. We need a tool belt to do that.
It was
Philip
a championship
Kurashev
belt,
must have
right?
won that belt in the game.
He was the guy that got it the last win.
They only give it out on wins.
Oh, that's
and he
right.
had the overtime goal.
Okay,
in the
it's been
Minnesota
sitting there for a
game.
while then.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, the tools are a little rusty.
Okay,
But it was a championship belt, right?
Now it's a tool
It
belt.
was
Now it's like a
Yeah,
tool
it was
belt,
a championship belt.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why aren't we making a big stink about changing the post-game award from one belt to another? Why aren't we? Why is that going under the radar, guys?
You can write 3,000 words on it if you want to.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm good. I'm fine with that.
belts throughout the years by Mario Tirabassi.
Why worry about something they only give out 9 times a year? That's my thought.
Yeah,
gonna get to the bottom
I am
of it.
hoping it's. I am hoping that it's.
And again, not having any of the local beat there to follow up, kind of, I'm sure if, Ben or Phil or, Powers were there, the next question would have been like, why, can you elaborate on why
right.
Kaiser?
That would have stuck out to someone.
So, but you don't have any of the local beat there. So, when you have our pal Adam Kimmelman, who was a guest on a show in the off season, asking.
He's there for Philly coverage.
Yeah, he's there for NHL.com coverage, and
he's like Philly Tracy Myers.
Yeah, or Bruce Miles, like have him go do, or
That
they
too,
probably
yeah.
told him, hey, nobody's here, go over there, please. So he's not that his ear doesn't know. Oh, Kaiser for Crevier. I've never heard of either of those.
Yeah.
guys. I'm not going to ask any
Right,
questions.
yeah.
I just they don't play again till Wednesday. It's not like there's another game Monday or Tuesday. Like, I don't know.
You're thinking too much.
I guess
Jake.
so. I
You're
am, but like
overthinking this.
I'm trying to make sense of all of it.
Maybe he's got the poops.
Well, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some of
I don't
us
know.
today.
I'm just. I don't know if I'm just especially aggravated because we're gonna hear from on the other side of the break Connor Bedard, who, the day after a win sounds as frustrated and defeated as he's ever sounded in his career, and I'm just. I don't know. I'm just a little bit concerned about the overall decisions made towards the future of this team. So this one got my antenna up probably a little more than necessary. Truly, I'm admitting that, but it just when I heard it, I'm like, come on, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope so. I hope again. I'm not hoping he's hurt, but I'm hoping Luke didn't say, "Look how clever I am."
Well, it seems like aside from injury or non-health or not being healthy enough, the plan looked like it was going to be same lineup as Thursday night, and I think that would have been a small victory for this
Kaiser
team.
was at practice yesterday and was taking all the normal rushes.
Yeah.
If this was a planned move, Crevier would have been taking the rushes yesterday.
Right, yeah.
So this tells me Kaiser woke up this morning not feeling good or whatever. So,
Is it the Philly flu?
maybe. Maybe it was some bad food on the plane. But, to me, in normal circumstances, if Crevier was the decision to go in, he would have taken.
He would have played yesterday.
He would have taken all the normal. He was he was an extra in
Well,
practice
and Dickinson
yesterday.
too.
Yeah.
He's in his same spot. All the forward lines are the same. But if it weren't for his hand injury, there wouldn't have been a question.
Right. So
So my point being, this would have been a carryover lineup, which is something we've barely seen this season
Right.
ever.
Well, and Gwyneth in the chat says that Scott Powers said Kaiser made some questionable decisions last game. Sure, he's a young player, but that's why making a questionable decision should not get you sat as a young
I don't
player. That's
think-
part of growing, it's part of building. So let's just hope Green Apple Quick Steps, as our buddy Doug Buffone used to call him, and he'll be back in the lineup on Wednesday. With that, it is time to light the lamp with our friends from Coors Light, and it might be a name you're not thinking of. Because last time the Blackhawks and Flyers met, Joey Anderson had a goal and an assist, so he is our selection to light the lamp, presented by Coors Light.
whoa. All right. Yeah. Go Joey Anderson.
Go Joey Anderson and celebrate a game of successful scoring and assisting with an ice cold Coors Light because, hey, they chose chill after the last win. let's make it 2 in a row here for the Blackhawks, and we can all go home and chill until Wednesday when the next opponent comes. And Coors Light is the perfect beverage to have when you are choosing chill. You know, there's nothing better than opening up that refrigerator and seeing those blue mountains on your Coors Light can or bottle, because you know it is ice cold as the Rockies. So when you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. There it is. Make the most out of the times that you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart right now by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Why don't we hear from Connor Bedard? This is yesterday's practice, and noteworthy to a lot of the folks there is how sort of down he sounded about his game personally. Give it a listen here.
To get a big win against a big team like the Panthers.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, they're Grey Cup champs, and they play a tough brand of hockey, and it's good for us to find a way to get the win.
You'll be seeing Michkov tomorrow up close, and just what have you seen of him thus far?
Yeah, he looks great. I mean, I got to play against him when we were like 15, and I remember he was unreal. So you kind of know that it's gonna be similar, and just as smarts and just competitive too. I think that's something that maybe people don't realize is. I feel like he's always getting it in, and very strong guy. So it's fun to watch him play, and I'm excited to play against him.
Have you guys developed much of a bond or appreciation for each other's games?
Yeah, we got the chance to talk a little bit at the draft and stuff, and we'll text a bit, and it's funny, and when you're playing against the guy, people try to create a rivalry or something, but usually you're friends, or you want to see the other guy succeed. So I'm always rooting for him, and he's a fun guy to watch play. So it's been fun to see him this year and follow his career up to this point.
It's been a little bit of a different role for you these last 2 games, and how was it yesterday going in that kind of checking role against Barkov?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm not doing much offensively at all, so I got to find a different way to be productive, and right now I think that was obviously different for me, but it's good to do that, and I think it's good playing with those 2 guys. You kind of learn a lot in that end, and so it was good.
Joey was saying that as a winger, you kind of discover that if you're just on the inside in the D zone, the puck often comes to you, or you have a chance to break up the play. Is that something you've kind of learned these past few games, or in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a lot less work, I feel like, than center. You're just more about positioning and where to be, and you kind of figure that out playing the position.
From watching video, what do you see offensively right now? What can you do better?
I mean, I could name 100 things, but I don't know, man. It's been frustrating for sure, and I just don't feel like I'm really doing anything. So just keep chipping away at it, I guess, and hopefully kind of find my game again. But yeah.
Is it hard to not get down on yourself in these situations?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been a tough stretch, and you just feel like you don't have it or whatever, and you lose a bit of confidence, and just kind of it goes on. Obviously, it's been a little bit for me, so like I said, just kind of keep going in every game, trying to be the best me, and hopefully things kind of come.
Boy, this kid needs a goal in a bad way.
Yeah, we'd love
to get the monkey
love
out
to
the
see
bag.
him score early today, and just kind of like, we talked with Petey about the body language of this team, and Bedard stands out a little bit. Would love to just early on in this game have Bedard score at any goal. I don't care if it's a beautiful snipe, cross ice one timer, or he just jams in a rebound or something. Just get something to go in the back of net for him, and hopefully that just kind of like opens some floodgates for him, because he's still leading this team in points, but hasn't scored since the halfway mark of the season so far. Like, that's a long time. This is game 21. He hasn't scored since the 10th game of the season.
Yeah.
Like, that's a long time for him.
I'm not as greedy. I just want that line to have some offensive zone time. See what happens then.
Well, that'll help. Yeah. Baby steps.
There's no Reinhard Barkhoff line that he's going to try and match up Jason Dickinson against tonight. So hopefully
You got to match him up against Morgan Frost.
Yeah, we got to see how future teammates play against each other. But some offensive zone time would be good, and then you take it from there.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that line will spend more time playing offense today than last time.
They have a better chance of doing it today than Thursday.
Yeah, I mean,
knock on wood.
So Philly's got the last line change today, so they'll probably be trying to put their best defensive unit out there against Bedard, and hopefully some zone time leads to some shots, and some shots lead to some goals. Got to have the zone time first. First you get the khakis. Then you get the girl.
Josh says, it was just up there and it went away. He said Davidson's biggest failure is not getting Bedard someone to play with. He needs to address that between now and the summer. Well, he did.
He got plenty
but
of
the
guys.
head coach is not playing him with them.
Right.
And if you read Scott Powers' notes in The Athletic today, what he's hearing, which he does probably once or twice a month, he said that Davidson makes the roster decisions, who's up, who's down, and Richardson makes the lineup decisions. So it's not Kyle Davidson saying play Joey Anderson and Jason Dickinson with Connor Bedard. That is Luke Richardson, and he has never, aside from 40 seconds this year, played Bertuzzi, Teravainen, and Bedard together. He is not. And, look, I know his thought is Jason Dickinson gets guys going. Let's put Connor with Jason Dickinson. It worked the first game. He had 2 assists. Fine. Florida, they had to be in more of a checking role. But if you're not getting any, if there's another zeros across the board or 2 shot attempts from Connor Bedard today, you've got to try something new. Even if they win the game, you've got to try something new to get Bedard going.
Foligno, Bedard, Teravainen. We started the season with it. It had success. It slowed down, and then they haven't gone back to it.
Well, we said it last
since.
game too. Why not just flip Anderson and Teravainen?
Sure.
Tavo is responsible
too.
defensively.
Yeah.
And he can actually help offensively.
Prediction, we see that happen today at some point. And
so.
Again, with the Davidson should have got out and got guys for Bedard. He did. Problem is, they've all massively underachieved so far this season.
Except Craig Smith.
Massively underachieved.
Yes, and they've also not been put in situations to succeed. He's got Tavo Teravainen on the third line. He's got Tyler Bertuzzi bouncing around line to line.
But those guys have they have 2 5-on-5 goals between the two of them in 21 games.
Sure.
They've sucked at 5-on-5 no matter where they've played.
But you got to let people settle in, though. You saw last year in Toronto, it took Tyler Bertuzzi some time to settle in there. And then once they gave him consistent line mates, he found his game. Now, the Hawks are not Toronto, obviously.
It's much easier to have consistent line mates when you have multiple all-stars on your team and you say, just go and make sure no one kills Austin Matthews.
Well, look, it's like what PD said to us when he was on with us the other day. Everything this team does should be keeping Connor Bedard in mind and what's best for Connor Bedard. And right now, the lineups are not what's best for Connor Bedard.
And
so we'll see.
I agree with that. And I understood the logic of the Dickinson move to begin with, and it worked for a game. But
yeah, and it might work today.
And yes, they beat the Panthers, but that is not a long-term solution for Connor Bedard to have him be Marcus Kruger for a game. That's not why you drafted him.
All right, you had the chance to talk to our pals from PHLY.
Yeah, talk to Bill over at our Flyers sister show. Did a little one-on-one back and forth, and I asked him about Morgan Frost, who has been a big topic of discussion. We mentioned him a couple weeks ago as about possible trade. Now Elliot Friedman has talked about him possibly being on the market, and Chicago should be a team interested in him. And so, of course, and Morgan Frost is playing today. His first.
He's sat for 5 games.
So he was scratched. He's been scratched 11 times this season,
Oof.
and 4 out of the last 5 games. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's in the lineup against the Blackhawks. So I asked our pal Bill about Morgan Frost, what it might take to get him, and what would the Blackhawks be acquiring if they get Morgan Frost.
It actually starts out with Michkov.
Okay, well then we got Michkov too. We know him. Not quite the level of talent we had back 14 years ago when these two teams met in the Stanley Cup final, but still should be an intriguing matchup because these are evenly matched teams, kind of very similar. Two teams that have a young superstar still trying to figure it out, and possibly some a fan base that's a little disenfranchised with the head coaching. So we'll start there, Bill. Obviously, Michkov is, all the spotlights are on him. We've seen him with the highlight reel goals, and then we've seen him get healthy scratched for a couple of games. What's been the overall first take on the young star?
He is a lot of fun to watch, constantly pushing to create offense. The most skilled player we've seen for this team in a while. Obviously not a complete product yet, not a finished product. He's still only 19 years old. But it has been really fun getting to finally see a young emerging star up close from their teenage years and getting to see him early. We thought maybe the 3-year contract in Russia, he was going to play out the entire thing before he came over from the KHL, ended up only having to wait 1 year. Very appreciative of that, him falling to 7. That was great. But yeah, it's cool now getting the opportunity to see him up against Bedard, maybe the two best players of that class. Emerging and really getting to go head to head. But yeah, it's always an adventure with John Tortorella. But I think even he really appreciates having a player of this skill because, man, the Flyers just haven't had this kind of guy in a long time.
Finally, we're going to talk about a guy that hasn't had that development bump under Tortorella, and his name's come up here. We've talked about him on our show a few times, and that's Morgan Frost, who Elliot Friedman has reported could be on the way out, and the Blackhawks definitely need centers, especially young centers. And he's a guy I targeted a couple of weeks ago. If the Hawks were to make a trade, one, what kind of player would they be getting back? And two, because I'm terrible at this, what would it take to land a guy like that?
That's the great question. Is I have no idea what Morgan Frost's value is around the league. First round pick in 2017, last 2 years, 40 plus points. He's pretty decent playmaker, offense. He's a good center. He's worked to maybe not turn himself into a dynamic two-way player, but the details of his game have certainly improved from when he was just I ain't crossing the red line kind of guy. I'm going to be on offense. You guys figure it out back there. He's not that anymore. He is more of a 200-foot player than he ever was. The offense has been inconsistent. You look at the numbers, 45, 40-ish points. All right, normal for a middle six center. And then you look at how he gets them, and it's like, yeah, October, November, he doesn't score. Sometime in December, he takes off and leads the team in scoring through March. And then you see, 45 at the end of the year. That's good. And it is. The numbers do look good. He's struggling to find consistency. But it's very hard to find consistency when the head coach seems to not be all that interested in the type of player you are. We say there's this, in case of emergency, bench Morgan Frost. When things start to go wrong, John Tortorella's first instinct is, I'm sitting him. 11 scratches this year. He sat 4 the last 5 this season. And the only game he got in, it was because Couturier came up with a morning skate injury. It's like, well, I guess we have to get Frost in. We're out of players. So it's really just, I think, best for all sides to kind of move on. The Flyers have hinted they're not the most interested in trading him, but you're paying him to wear a suit. Why? Why not try to get something for him that you may one day be interested in using rather than a player who doesn't play all that much for you? But I think he's good. If he can find consistency with line mates and on a power play unit, he will put up points. That's the kind of player he is. It just kind of seems to not be working in Philly. What would I be interested in taking for him? I heard you guys on the show talk about 2 second-round picks. Sign me up. Absolutely sign me up for a pair of second-round picks. That sounds just fine to me. More than anything, I'm ready to move on from the conversation. The amount of time we have dedicated to talking about Morgan Frost is unfathomable, considering he's not an elite player. He's good, but I'm done with it. I can't wait for this to happen, honestly, Greg.
I hear you. We've been through that before. Maybe Matt Ellison has a nephew we could trade for Morgan Frost.
I'll take him. I'll take him.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Bill, and let's enjoy some afternoon hockey so we can all be home before dinner.
I love it.
All right, Bill Matz from PHLY, way too excited about 2 second-round picks, so we're lowering the offer.
Yeah, it it is now 2 fourth-round picks.
Philip Kurashev
and Frank considerations.
Well, the thing is, like, the Blackhawks aren't going to be the only team asking for Morgan Frost, so that's going to drive up the price.
You think?
They've got the freaking assets to make it happen.
Do it.
Do it!
Do it now. Do it before the game starts.
Well then.
Table flip.
It's going to be a long day.
Get it done. All right.
Send help.
Who's your hawk? Let's do it.
Some guy.
I was not first because I'm still winning. Because I have 69 and a half points.
and pick. I picked Alex Vlasic. I think Alex Vlasic is going to turn into the new Seth Jones for Who's Your Hawk. If you need 6 points guaranteed, take Alex Vlasic.
He's going to be the Who's Your Hawk and 4-star of every game.
Yes.
Perfect. I went with Craig Smith because he's been buzzing a little bit, so I'm going to go with him.
He is the best offensive player on the Blackhawks.
And he's from Wisconsin.
There you go.
Fireable offense. Keep it up there.
And
Keep it up
still
there, cheesehead.
riding the wave of the aura of Tuomo Ruutu, Teuvo Teravainen is my pick.
Maybe he'll get a 5-on-5 goal today.
That would be cool.
Ooh, that'd be good.
And then he could maybe get in the top 6.
It's not worth as much as a power play goal.
Not holding my breath, though.
All right, we'll talk to everybody after the game. We love you. Hit that like button. See ya. Thanks for watching the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Coors Light.
We all silly like the mayor.